Hi, I'm Amelia and welcome to my channel Sew Amelia, where I talk all about making a handmade wardrobe for me and my children. Welcome to this week's video, which is all about the things that I made in October. Now, you can see on the rack quite a few things that got made this month. Now, a lot of them were things that had been sitting in my mending pile or upcycling pile for a very long time, waiting to be mended or upcycled. Now this month, Karen, who is So Little Time, and Becky, who is Notes from a Sewing Room, and I'll link them in the description below, we're running a fantastic Sew Upcycle 22 challenge, and that really inspired me to get through my pile of things to upcycle and get them back into mine or my children's wardrobes. So I do hope you'll stay tuned as I share those upcycled makes, as I do think as sewists it's really important that we don't just make new things all the time, but we do look at our wardrobes, upcycle, mend, alter, so that we can get the most wear out of our handmade wardrobes. There are also a couple of new makes this month to share with you, so do stay tuned for those, and I'll share what I'm wearing at the end of the video as well. So before I get started, let me just say, because there are quite a few things here on the rack, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail about each pattern that I did sew up. I have linked them all below in the description box, so if you want more information, do go and click on the pattern links, which will take you through to their specific pages, or do send me a message or drop me a comment and I'll happily answer any questions that you might have. Also, if you've not yet subscribed to my channel, I would so love to have you as a subscriber, so do hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you'll be made aware of when I publish future videos. And if you do enjoy today's video, do click the like button as well at the end, as that really helps YouTube to then share my video with other people who might also enjoy hearing about sewing. So with all that said, let me crack on and share what I've been making. Now, the first thing I made this month was an alteration. Now here is a beautiful blouse that I made earlier on this year, and it is the Anna Allen Anthea blouse. It's a beautiful blouse with voluminous sleeves and a beautiful curved hem. However, for some reason, I just wasn't reaching for it. I absolutely love the colour and the fabric. It's a light cotton dobby that I bought from Sew Me Sunshine. I love it. It's so light and floaty, but I just wasn't reaching for it, and when I put it on I just didn't feel very comfortable in it, and I couldn't really work out why. Then I was watching Crystal, who is my social thread over on YouTube and on Instagram, and she had the same issue with her Anthea blouse, but she also had a great solution. So I did use her solution to solve my problem as well. So thank you, Crystal, for sharing this on your channel. If you don't watch Crystal, do pop over and have a look at her channel. She has such wonderful videos. She shares lots of unboxings as well as beautiful makes for her and her children. What I did was I bought 1 more meter of the cotton dobby, and I simply trimmed off the Anthea blouse at my natural waist and added on a rectangle that I gathered up to make a skirt, and I'm so pleased with it. What I did with the leftover fabric, I didn't want to waste anything from the part that I trimmed off the blouse, was I created 2 waist ties. Now I did have to piece these together from the leftover bits of fabric, but I'm really glad because it meant that I just had no scraps left at the end of this process. So I made those into waist ties just to nip it in a little bit at the waist, and I absolutely love it. Now I've styled it up with tights and boots for these pictures just because it was freezing cold outside when I took the photographs. And I think I could wear it in the winter, but to be honest, because it's such a lovely lightweight cotton, I think it's probably going to get more wear in the spring and the summer, so I'll probably pop it away with my other spring and summer makes for next year. But thank you, Crystal. I'm so delighted you shared that idea and that I was able to amend this so that I think I will get much more wear out of it in the future. Now, the next thing I made was a new make for this month. The lovely people at Tauko magazine released a new issue this month, issue number 5, and it has so many gorgeous, unique patterns in it. And they reached out to me and asked if I would like to make one of the patterns from the magazine for the release, and I jumped at the chance. I just think their patterns are so unique and so much fun that I really wanted to have a go at sewing one up. Now I chose the Highland sweater, which is a pattern by Bren Larson, and it's a beautiful balloon sweater with a lovely curved hem at the bottom. You can make it with 3/4 length sleeves or full length sleeves with a lovely deep cuff. Now in the pictures that I was sent, it was sewn up in a beautiful boiled wool, and I thought that was genius. Such a lovely warm layer for the winter. So I decided to do the same thing. So here is a version that I sewed up in this beautiful wool from Minerva. Now it is a stretch wool, so it's really easy to pull on and to wear, and I just absolutely love the colour. Now you can see these gorgeous balloon sleeves with these pleat details at the head of the sleeve, and they're pleated into a beautiful binding at the bottom of the cuff. And then you've got this lovely curved hem. Now it curves up at the front, which is a lovely flattering line, and then it curves down at the back. I don't love the word flattering, but I really do feel that this hem is just that. I love the way it dips over my bottom and comes up over my waist. And that's also bound. Now I was a bit nervous about sewing this one up because of the amount of fabric going through my sewing machine, especially with these pleats and with the binding. It's quite thick to get under the sewing machine. But I just used a jersey needle and it came together really, really nicely. The fabric sewed up beautifully, so I was absolutely thrilled with that. And I just love that bright blue colour. I think it's going to bring me so much joy through the winter. Now because it's wool, it's actually perfectly warm enough to wear without any long sleeves underneath, but I have worn this one as well on a cooler autumn day without a coat, and I just popped a long sleeve t-shirt underneath to cover the rest of my arms, and I just think this makes a lovely little extra layer over the top and just quite fun to wear. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to get a lot of wear in my winter wardrobe and bring me lots of joy on those grey winter days to get out this lovely bright blue colour. Now the next thing I'm going to share with you was the first thing I made for the Sew Upcycle challenge. Now pre-pandemic my husband used to go to the office every day and wear lots of lovely shirts, and they always wear out at the collar and the cuffs, but the rest of the fabric is beautiful cotton and I just can't bear to throw it away. So they've been sitting up in my sewing room in my wardrobe for goodness knows how long. So for this challenge I decided to upcycle them into 2 pairs of shorts for my son. We're heading away somewhere warm shortly and he's grown out of all of his shorts, so this was the perfect opportunity to just use what I had and make him a couple of quick pairs that he'll be able to wear on holiday, even if he doesn't quite fit into them next summer, although I hope he will. So I used a beautiful maroon striped shirt for this version, and I used a lovely blue, red and white striped shirt for these shorts. And I was able to get the size 5 out of the shirt with no problems. I did have to use a bit of fabric from the sleeve to make up one of the sides for this pair of shorts, but that was just because I wanted to make sure I got the stripes all running down the shorts. I think if you had a plain shirt it would have been a bit easier. I could have cut on the cross grain, but that's fine. I got them out without too much problem and he absolutely loves wearing them. He finds these shorts to be really, really comfortable, and they are a free pattern. I don't think I mentioned that. These are the Elasticated waist shorts by Bobbins and Buttons. They come in sizes 1 to 10 and they are a free pattern, and I have used them loads. I've used them for both my boys. I've used them and added a little bit of fabric at the top to make a paper bag waist on some shorts for my daughter, and I've actually sewn them up in knit fabric as well to make pajama shorts. So one of probably my most used children's patterns, these Bobbins and Buttons Elasticated waist shorts, and because they go up to size 10 I'm going to get a lot more use out of them yet. So that was my first Sew Upcycle project, 2 pairs of shorts for my littlest boy. Now the other thing that has been sitting up in my sewing room for a long time are some jumpers. Now one of them is a maternity and breastfeeding jumper that I no longer wear. The other 2 jumpers unfortunately are quite badly stained. So I thought I would colour block these jumpers and turn them into a pearl cardigan by Tilly and the Buttons. Now the pearl cardigan is a beautiful wrap cardigan with dropped sleeves and a tie waist that I bought at the Knitting and Stitching show when I went there recently. And I knew I wanted to sew it up, and I thought what perfect way to use up these sweaters to colour block them into the Tilly and the Buttons pearl jumper. Now, I know you can see this is not colour blocked, so let me tell you a story. I did sew this up. I managed to get it out of 2 of the sweaters in the end actually, a light blue sweater and then the mid to light blue sweater. I used one for the bindings here and the waistband and the other for the sleeves, and then I think I mixed them for the back and the front of the bodice. I actually kept the sleeve of one of the jumpers intact and I just unpicked it and then sewed it directly into the bodice piece and it fitted fine, which was very fortunate. But once I'd sewn it all up and I looked at it, I just wasn't convinced about the colour blocking. So I decided to dye it, and I bought some Rit navy blue dye, which was for woolen and natural fibres. And I popped this in the dye bath and I was so thrilled with how it came out. Now because we're sewists and we tend to be critical of our own work, if you look closely you will see that the mid blue and the light blue sweater came out slightly different shades of navy, but I don't think you'll notice it. And I'm just thrilled to have used those 2 unworn sweaters and to convert them into something that I will definitely get more wear out of. I have quite a lot of navy in my handmade wardrobe, and so I can see this becoming a really well used piece over the winter months. And I'm so thrilled that rather than having 2 jumpers that I can't wear, I now have a beautiful wrap cardigan that I can wear. Now the pearl cardigan does come in Tilly and the Buttons extended size range. It was a really lovely pattern to sew up. I decided to make a straight size 4. Normally I'm a size 3 at the bust on Tilly Patterns, 4 at the waist and 5 at the hips. I made a straight size 4, but I think next time I possibly will size down and grade from a size 3 at the bust to a 4 at the waist, or just make the straight size 3. It's fine, it's lovely and snuggly and cozy, but if I wanted a more fitted wrap cardigan, I would probably size down next time, as this one does have quite a lot of room to it, but I don't mind that. It will be lovely and snuggly and warm, and I'm looking forward to wearing this a lot this winter. So after making that and feeling absolutely delighted at the fact that I had used up those stained jumpers, I decided to use the other stained jumper. Now this jumper was pretty ruined. I always hand wash my knits. Always. I grew up in New Zealand with lots and lots of wool. We're taught to hand wash our wool. But you know what? Some days we decide to cut corners, and I decided to put this in the washing machine on a cold wool wash, and it came out like this. So lesson learned, I'll never ever use the machine to wash my cashmere jumpers again. What I did with it is I dyed it. Now, I chose to use this jumper for my daughter, as I thought I could possibly get a lovely little knit dress out of it for her. Now you'll know if you watch my plans video, I planned to use a dusty pink or a rose pink colour. I did, I used a rose pink colour, but this is not rose pink. I'm really pleased with the colour, but it's not rose pink. So I did buy 2 dye sachets because it suggested that you may want to use 2 to give you a richer colour. This is quite a lot richer, but that's fine. Like I said, I'm pleased with the colour, and it also hides the stain. I was a bit worried, as some of you pointed out as well in the video, which was fantastic, that the lighter colour may not have covered the stains, but they have been covered. I think it's more of a coral pink, but it looks so sweet on her, this colour, that I think I love it. So the pattern I used for this dress is the Peony Patterns Wattle dress. And this is a fantastic knit dress. It's one of my favourite patterns again to sew for my daughter. It has a fully lined bodice, has cap, 3/4 or full length sleeves, and the original pattern has a full circle skirt. I've sewn this pattern a lot for my daughter. It's a very comfortable knit jersey dress, and she just loves twirling in the twirly skirt. It comes in sizes 1 to 14, but I do believe there's also a baby wattle pattern, which comes in sizes newborn to age 18 months, I think, and I have sewn that one as well. So I used the pattern to cut out the bodice and the sleeves, and then I cut out the skirt from the bottom of the jersey, so you'll see the original hem of the jumper is here, and I didn't have to hem that, which was a win. But I didn't have enough to make the lining, and because of the challenge, I didn't want to use any new fabric. So I went back through my stash in my sewing room and found another maternity jumper that I had that I didn't want to throw away. And again, it had stains on, so I couldn't donate it. And I cut out that for the lining. So she has a very snuggly little jumper dress to wear, and I just think it looks so sweet on her. Now I did only have enough fabric to get out 3/4 length sleeves, but because it is a cashmere dress, lucky girl, it's so toasty warm on her, especially when we're inside. And at the moment it's not too cold outside, so if I pop a coat on her, she's absolutely fine. But when it gets really cold, I'll probably just pop a long sleeve top underneath this just for an added touch of warmth. But again, so thrilled that I was able to use that jumper and make it into a wearable garment. Now, once she has grown out of this one, fear not, I will be passing this on to a family friend who has a little girl of her own, or to my niece in New Zealand, because this dress needs to get lots of wear, and I'm sure it will last a long time because the wool is just so lovely. Now the last thing I made for the Sew Upcycle challenge was this coat that I converted. Now I was really inspired by the Instagram account, The Converted Closet, and she upcycles and converts a lot of amazing things, so do go and check that out. And I decided to have a go at converting this charity shop coat. Now originally it was my size, I think it was like a medium or a large, but it was quite an oversized fit on me, and I just wasn't sure it was quite my style, but I knew that I could do something very fun with it. What I decided to do for a start is to chop off the sleeves, and I turned them into these ruffles, because what coat doesn't need a ruffle? Now I did decide to leave the padding in, as I just thought that made them stand out a bit more, and if you're going to have ruffles, you may as well have ruffles. So I left the padding in, and I just love them. Now I also unpicked the sleeves and trimmed a little bit of excess off the sleeves and this waist seam here, and then I cut the skirt off and reattached it to make this elasticated channel. Now that was quite fiddly and meant cutting the inside lining as well, which was unfortunate because obviously it's a bit harder to sew the lining back together neatly without taking apart the whole coat, which I didn't want to do. So the inside is not the neatest, but the outside looks really cute, so that's fine. The only thing is, because I then took in the side seams a little bit, the sleeves have ended up a little bit on the short side. They're still fine, and I have worn this coat a lot already, but I didn't want to add any new fabric because the challenge was very specific about using what you had and not adding anything new. But now that I have submitted this for the challenge and worn it a little bit, what I wonder about doing is adding a rib cuff to the sleeve, so that will draw it in a little bit, which is great, and it'll just add that little bit of extra length over my wrist. I've got some coats, some winter coats, which have those ribbed cuffs as well, so I don't think it's an unusual thing to do, and it just means unpicking that cuff, inserting a ribbed cuff, and then that will just give me a little bit of added length, which will be perfect. So I absolutely love this upcycle. It's a really practical coat for the school run with a little bit of whimsy and fun as well, because I just need that in the winter, whimsy and fun, especially on a really grey, rainy school run day. So that was the last thing I made for the Sew Upcycle 22 challenge. So thank you ladies so much for running that. It was such a fun challenge to participate in, and it just gave me so much motivation in my sewing room this month. Now, those of you who watched last week's video will know that I talked about 5 of my favourite patterns for the winter, so do go back and have a look at that if you haven't. But one of the patterns I mentioned was the Tilly and the Buttons Billie sweater and dress. So I'm not going to go into much detail about the pattern here. If you'd like more details, do go back and watch that video. But I shared this Billie sweatshirt dress, which I just wasn't wearing because I felt like it was too short. And after the video, given the upcycling I'd been doing this month, I thought, why haven't I done something with that yet? I didn't want to leave it languishing in my wardrobe, so I ran upstairs. I chopped off the jumper dress at the waist. I used the rest of the dress to make a new waistband. It took me about 20 minutes, and now I have a really lovely jumper in this fabric that I love, that I'm just going to get so much more wear out of it. It's lovely, comfy, cozy. I don't know why I didn't do it before, but there we go. That's the last little upcycle alteration type thing that I did this month, was turning this Billie sweatshirt dress into a sweatshirt. So I'm thrilled with that, really glad to have it back in my wardrobe and be able to wear that and feel much more comfortable and confident in it as a sweatshirt than I did when it was a dress. So the next 2 things I'm going to share with you are new makes for this month, and that is this jumper here and a sewing fail. So I'll start with the fail, because we all have them, and as much as we would like to not share them, I think it's really important to share that not everything always goes to plan. And this jumper was one of those things. So here it is here. It is the Fibremood Paola jumper. Now the jumper pattern itself is really lovely. I love the hood feature on it. I really love the dropped sleeves with the gathering into the sleeve here. I love the feature on the back with this gorgeous seam line across the back, sort of bodice piece, I suppose. Lots of gorgeous details. And I absolutely love this fabric. This is the viscose French terry that has been chatted about on the collaboration that was recently done by Ruan, who's the Yorkshire sew girl, Tamlyn, who is sewn on the tyne, and Rachel, who is stitched up. They sewed up the Mile End sweatshirt and the plateau joggers by Closet Core in this fabric. And they're right, it is the most soft and luscious French terry. The viscose just gives it an incredible drape, and it's so soft and luxurious, and it comes in a lot of different colours. It comes from First for Fabrics, and I'll link it below. It is beautiful, beautiful fabric, but I just don't think it was necessarily the right fabric for this top. I thought it would work beautifully because it would gather so nicely into this part of the bodice, and it does, but the hood makes me look like some sort of Jedi warrior, honestly. I'm just not sure about it on me. I'm not sure that this style particularly suits me, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be wearing this an awful lot, certainly not outside the house. I do think I'll probably add it to my pyjama rotation, as it is so snuggly. It will be the perfect loungewear hooded sweatshirt for a Friday or a Saturday night on the sofa. So I'm definitely not going to get rid of it because, like I said, the fabric is so soft and snuggly. My daughter actually took a bunch of the offcuts, and she often takes them to bed with her and just cuddles them because they're so soft and snuggly. So the fabric itself is beautiful, and the pattern is lovely, but the pattern and the fabric together, I'm not convinced. Or maybe it's just the style of the jumper on me. I'm not sure this one is for me, but I will be wearing it, like I said, as pyjamas to keep me cozy in these long, cold winter months. So it will get some wear, and I do love the colour of it. But yeah, it's just sad. It didn't turn out quite as I had hoped. And I had such high hopes for this pattern as well. Can't win them all. It's all good. So that one is going to be going back into my pyjama drawer, ready to be pulled out on those cold winter evenings. The last pattern I'm going to share is what I'm wearing today, and that is the Bleeker sweatshirt by Sewing and the City. Now she has got such a lovely collection of patterns over on her website, and I've been wanting to make one for a long time. Now I am a Minerva brand ambassador, so I was gifted this lovely sweater knit fabric in return for a review. I'll pop the link to that review in the description box below if you want more details about this make. But yes, I was gifted this beautiful lilac sweater knit, and I had this Liberty fabric in my stash. I believe it was a fat quarter. And recently, Rachel, who is the French Seams on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'll pop a link to her channel below, which is also fantastic, go and give it a watch. She shared a hug hoodie that she'd made that she used a Liberty fabric to trim. And I just thought that was so beautiful. Initially I was going to make this jumper with the same fabric here, the lilac sweater knit, for the ruffles. But once I saw Rachel's hoodie, I knew it had to be Liberty. And I knew I had this sitting in my stash and, you know, needs to be used up. I just love the way that this looks with these Liberty ruffles. I think it adds such a nice feature to the jumper, and I love the colours in the Liberty fabric. I think it goes really, really well with the lilac sweater knit. So this pattern comes, unfortunately it's a limited size range. It comes in sizes 2 to 20 with an upper bust measurement of 46 inches, but it is a very oversized sweater. So in her patterns I come out as a size 8 across the bust, a size 10 at the waist and size 12 at the hips. But I did size down for this jumper and make a straight size 6. And there's plenty of room, as you see. It's not too tight. There's plenty of ease in this sweater. It's meant to be an oversized, relaxed fit. I love the fit of it. I love how relaxed it is. But if I wanted a slightly less oversized jumper, I would size down again, either to a size 4 or even to a size 2 in this jumper. Some of the other patterns on her website do have extended sizing. She has made a curve range for some of her patterns, but this one isn't extended yet, although I hope she will in the future because it's such a lovely sweater. I love the relaxed feel, but I do love the added feature of these sleeve ruffles. I think it just adds something very special to an otherwise cozy and casual sweater. For more details, do go and check out my blog over at Minerva, which I will also link below. So that's it from me this month. A couple of new makes and a few upcycles and alterations that I managed to get done this month, which I'm really, really pleased about. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of those. Do let me know below which one was your favourite. Did you like the upcycles or did you prefer some of the newer makes? And do tell me as well what you've been making this month. It's always so inspiring to hear what other sewists are making and to hear about new patterns and designers that I haven't yet heard of. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a happy week ahead full of lots of happy sewing. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Goodbye.